Zara leaned back from her sewing table, surveying the nearly finished gown spread across her workbench with barely contained satisfaction. "This is it," she murmured to herself, adjusting the silk under the lamplight. "This is the one." The fabric caught the light as she lifted it. Deep burgundy silk, hand-embroidered with geometric patterns so precise they looked architectural rather than decorative. Outside her window, jazz drifted up from 125th Street. Harlem was alive tonight. The atelier was narrow and warm, cluttered with fabric bolts and dress forms and sketches pinned to every wall. 3 oil lamps burned at different heights, throwing the room in amber and shadow. On the dress form beside her stood the gown, nearly complete, breathtaking, even unfinished, the gold geometric embroidery catching every flicker of the lamp. It was unlike anything else in Harlem. It was unlike anything else anywhere. "You still here?" Her assistant Della poked her head through the door. Late 20s, quick eyes, a woman who had worked beside Zara for 4 years and still could not quite believe what she watched her make. "It's past midnight, Zara. The show is tomorrow morning." "Just a little longer," Zara said, not looking up from the hem she was finishing. "I need to get this right." "You always say that," Della laughed. "Then I find you here at sunrise. This time will be different." They both knew it was a lie. Della came in properly then, carrying 2 cups of coffee she had made in the back room. She set one on the only clear corner of the work table and wrapped both hands around the other and looked at the gown the way she always looked at the gown, with the expression of someone standing in front of something they know they will not forget.
The Harlem Renaissance wasn't just a music movement. Between 1910 and 1930, over 1.6 million Black Americans migrated north. They were running from violence, poverty, and oppression in the South, and running towards wages, education, and freedom in the North. And Harlem became the most concentrated hub of Black intellectual and creative life the world had ever seen. They didn't just bring themselves, they brought their culture with them.
Outside, the jazz changed key. A trombone entered. The spring night deepened. On 125th Street below them, Harlem was doing what Harlem did best, performing its own magnificence at midnight while the rest of the city slept. "You know none of those photographs tomorrow are going to say who made that dress," Della said. She did not say it unkindly. She said it the way you say true things to someone you love. Carefully, knowing it will land. Zara's needle paused. Just for a moment. Just long enough for the pause to be real. Then it moved again. "They never do," she said. Not bitter. Factual. Like the weather. "Doesn't that make you angry?" "It makes me work harder." She held the embroidery up to the lamp, checked the tension on a stitch, was satisfied, returned to work. If the work is extraordinary enough, it remembers itself, even when the names don't. After a while, Della pulled up a stool, as she always did when she realized Zara was not going home. She had long since stopped arguing. Coffee was better than argument. Watching was better than either. "Where did you learn that pattern?" she asked. She had asked before. She asked again because the answer was never quite complete enough. Zara did not look up. "My father. He was a tailor? A stone cutter. But he said the principle was the same. You read the material. You find where it wants to go. You take it somewhere better than it thought it could reach." Della looked at the gold thread, the interlocking diamonds, the pattern that was unmistakably old, older than Harlem, older than New York, older than the country they were sitting in. Where did he learn it? "Before," Zara said. Just the word. No elaboration. Della had learned not to push past before. The jazz outside shifted. The trombone dropped out. A piano took its place, slower and more deliberate, the melody reaching up through the window like a question looking for its answer. Zara finished the section she was working on and held the gown up to the lamp. In the full light of the 3 oil flames, the embroidery seemed to move, the gold thread catching each flicker and throwing it back, the geometric diamonds alive with light in a way that made the gown look less like clothing and more like architecture, like something built to hold weight for centuries. "He would have liked this one," Zara said quietly. "To the gown, not to Della." Della understood the difference and said nothing. At the far end of the atelier, two more women worked under their own lamps. Grace, 40, from Georgia originally, the most technically precise seamstress in Harlem, a woman who had been making beautiful things for people who did not say her name since before she could remember, was finishing the hem of a second piece for tomorrow's show. Ruby, 22, the youngest in the room, still in the phase of her life where she believed the world should be fair, was pressing seams on an ironing board in the corner, stealing glances at the main gown every few minutes. "Ruby," Grace said without looking up, "keep that iron moving or you'll burn the silk." "I am keeping it moving." "You're staring at the dress again." "I'm allowed to look." "You're allowed to press seams. Looking is what you do on your own time." Ruby pressed a seam with exaggerated focus. Then, after a moment, "Miss Zara, is it true Isabella Fontaine has never worn the same designer twice?" "That's what they say," Zara said. "So after tomorrow she won't wear your work again?" "She'll wear my work again. She just won't know it's mine." Ruby thought about this. She looked at her iron. She thought about it some more. "That doesn't seem fair." "Ruby," Grace said, "welcome to dressmaking in Harlem in 1925. You make the beautiful thing. Someone else gets the beautiful photograph. You keep making beautiful things. Because you can't stop. Because the work won't let you." She glanced at Zara. "Ask her." Ruby looked at Zara properly. The question was genuine, not provocative, not rhetorical. She actually wanted to know. "Why do you keep making things for people who don't say your name?" Zara set down her needle. She looked at Ruby, at 22 years old, and its particular kind of intact outrage, with something that was almost tenderness. She had been 22 once. She remembered that feeling the way you remember a place you used to live. "Because the dress remembers," she said, "even when the caption doesn't. 50 years from now, someone will look at a photograph of Isabella Fontaine in that gown and think, 'God, who made that?' And they won't find my name, but they'll feel my hands in the work. That's enough." "Is it really?" Zara picked up her needle. "Some nights." "Pick up your iron, Ruby." Ruby picked up her iron. Grace allowed herself a small smile she did not let anyone see. Della watched Zara's face after the answer and saw something underneath it that Zara would not want anyone to see. Something that was not quite peace and not quite resignation and lived in the complicated territory between them. She said nothing. She had known Zara long enough to know when silence was the right language. The knock came at midnight. Sharp, official. Not the knock of someone who lived in this neighborhood. Grace answered it.
What most people don't know is that black fashion designers in this era were completely shut out of the mainstream fashion houses. They dressed the most iconic women of the Harlem Renaissance, but got zero credit. And Lo is the most famous example. She designed Jackie Kennedy's wedding dress and dressed some of America's most powerful families, but remained almost completely unknown to the public.
A messenger boy, 14 and out of breath in a Western Union uniform, held out a telegram envelope. Grace took it, looked at the name on the front, and looked at Zara with a quality in her face that was not quite alarm but was adjacent to it. "It's for you." Zara did not stop sewing. She held her hand out without looking up. Grace brought the telegram to her. Zara set down her needle, opened the envelope, read. The room went very quiet. Even the jazz from outside seemed to lower its volume, as if it too was waiting. She read it a second time. Then she set it down on the work table next to her coffee cup. She picked up her needle and began sewing again. Nobody spoke for a full 10 seconds. "Zara." Della's voice had a quality that was not quite afraid. "What does it say?" "Isabella isn't coming tomorrow." The room absorbed this. Ruby's iron stopped moving. Grace straightened slowly from her hem. Della put down her coffee. What do you mean she isn't coming? The telegram is 9 words. Isabella Fontaine will not be attending tomorrow's presentation. Zara's needle kept moving. 9 words. No explanation. No apology. She can't do that, Della said. The words came fast now, the logic of a woman working through a problem that should not be a problem. The show is tomorrow morning. The Apollo has the slot confirmed. The photographers are all ready. She did it, Zara said. Grace looked at the room with the particular look of a woman who had seen this before, in different forms over 40 years. Do you think she found out who you are? That the designer is a woman working out of a Harlem atelier rather than a midtown house. I think that is exactly what she found out, Zara said. How? We were careful. We used the studio name on all the correspondence. Someone talked. She said it without bitterness, as if it was simply one of the conditions of the world like rain. Della reached for the telegram. Read it herself. As if the words might have changed since Zara read them. They had not. The show is in 9 hours and 45 minutes, she said. We have no model. We have a gown fitted specifically to Isabella Fontaine's measurements. What do we do? Find someone else, Zara said. In 9 hours? In the middle of the night. In 9 hours. In the middle of the night. In Harlem. She looked up from her work for the first time in an hour. Her eyes were completely steady. This is the right place to find extraordinary women on short notice. It always has been. Get your coat, Della.
So the Cotton Club, the Savoy Ballroom, the Apollo Theater weren't just entertainment venues. These were where black designers, musicians, and intellectuals built their own cultural economy, one that shaped mainstream America while rarely being acknowledged for it.
125th Street at midnight was a different city from 125th Street in the day. The daytime street belonged to commerce and obligation. The midnight street belonged to something else, to jazz spilling from club doors and men in sharp suits leaning against door frames and women in extraordinary hats moving in groups with the particular ease of people who had decided to take up exactly as much space as they deserved. Zara moved through it the way she moved through her atelier, purposefully reading everything she passed. A woman outside the Lenox Lounge, too stiff, the wrong quality of stillness. A dancer she recognized from a cotton club program, too well-known, too expensive, too unavailable on 9 hours' notice. A woman selling flowers from a cart who had the right presence but the wrong measurements, and Zara knew it from 20 feet away. Who are we looking for exactly? Della said, keeping pace beside her. I'll know her when I see her. That's not a description. No, it's not. The Lenox Lounge opened to a wall of sound and heat and tobacco smoke, and the best quartet on 125th Street. The room was packed. People danced between the tables. Waitresses navigated the crowd with the precision of women who had been doing it for years and had stopped noticing how difficult it was. At the bar, a woman sat alone with a drink and the specific composure of someone who had decided, sometime earlier that evening, that they were done being bothered by the thing that was bothering them. She had not entirely succeeded, but she was working on it. Zara stopped. Early 30s. Tall, even seated. A dress that was good but not quite right for her. The dress of someone who had not yet found the right person to make what she actually deserved to wear. She held her drink without fidgeting. When someone jostled the bar stool beside her, she did not move to accommodate them. She simply occupied her space and let the world arrange itself around that fact. Her, Della said quietly. Her, Zara agreed. Her name was Cecily. She had been a singer between engagements for 3 weeks, which was a polite way of saying the club that had booked her for 3 months had replaced her with someone cheaper, and she was sitting at this bar deciding whether to be angry or philosophical about it. She had not decided yet. She watched Zara and Della approach without adjusting her posture or her expression. She simply waited to hear what they wanted. She had found this was generally the most efficient approach. "I'm going to ask you something," Zara said, "and I need you to hear me out before you say no. Most conversations that start that way end with me saying no anyway. This one might be different." Zara sat down on the stool beside her without being invited. She was not the kind of woman who waited for invitations. "My name is Zara. I'm a dressmaker. I have a gown, the best thing I have ever made. That needs to be on the Apollo stage tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. The woman who is going to wear it pulled out tonight. You have the presence the gown deserves. I would like you to wear it." Cecily looked at her drink, then at Zara, then at Della, who gave her a look that said, "I know how this sounds. Trust her anyway." "What does this dress look like?" Cecily said. "Burgundy silk, structured shoulders, gold embroidery from here to here." Zara traced the diagonal line across her own body from collar to hip. "Nothing in that building tomorrow will look anything like it. What are my measurements worth to you?" Zara named a figure. Cecily's expression did not change, but something behind it did. "It was more than 3 months at the club. I'll need to see the dress first," Cecily said. "Of course. And if it's not what you say it is, I'm walking out. If it's not what I say it is, I'll walk out with you." Cecily finished her drink, set the glass down with the careful precision of someone who has decided to stop being philosophical and start being practical. She stood, taller than Zara had estimated, which meant the hem calculation she had already done in her head would need revision. She was already revising it before they left the building. Cecily stood before the dress form in the atelier and looked at the gown without touching it. This was the look of someone who understood quality in their body before their mind caught up with the analysis. She had that quality. Zara had known she would. "You made this," Cecily said. "Yes. All of it. Every stitch." Cecily reached out and touched the embroidery, the gold geometric diamonds. She traced one with her fingertip the way you trace something you half recognize but cannot quite name. "My grandmother had a quilt with something like this. She said the pattern came from before." "Before what?" She never said. Just before. Zara and Cecily looked at each other across the dress form. Something passed between them that had no name in 1925 and would not have one for many decades. The recognition of a shared before. A shared erasure. A shared before that had been taken somewhere and not returned. Della cleared her throat gently. "We need to start measurements." Cecily changed behind the screen. When she stepped out, the room changed. The gown had been extraordinary on the dress form. On Cecily, it was something else entirely. The structured shoulders gave her the authority she was already carrying everywhere she went. The silk moved with her rather than around her. The embroidery caught the lamplight and held it. But the fit was not right. The hem dragged, the waist was too wide. The shoulder seams were a fraction off in a way that mattered enormously. And the embroidery extension Zara had planned for Isabella's narrower frame was wrong for the longer diagonal of Cecily's body. Ruby said, "Oh," very quietly, looking at the gown, and did not say anything else. Zara circled Cecily with her eyes moving fast and her hands near but not touching the fabric. Reading. Assessing. The way her father had read stone. Walked to the wall and back. Cecily walked. The gown moved. Even imperfectly fitted, it was breathtaking. "The hem needs to come down 3 inches, Zara said. "The shoulder seams need to be reset. The waist needs to come in here and let out here. And the embroidery needs a 2-inch extension at a different angle, or the diagonal breaks on her frame." "That's 4 to 5 hours of work," Della said. "Then we start now." Della, call Grace. Ruby too. "We need 4 pairs of hands. Can you actually do all of that by 10 in the morning?" Cecily asked. She was not skeptical. She was genuinely asking. Zara was already pulling pins from her cushion. I can do it by 8. The rest of the time is yours. By 2 in the morning, the atelier had the specific quality of a room where something important was happening. Grace was resetting the shoulder seams with the focused economy of a woman who had been doing this for 20 years and had no time for imprecision. Ruby was extending the hem with a matching silk panel Zara had cut from a bolt she'd been saving for exactly this kind of emergency. Della was documenting every alteration in a notebook, her handwriting getting smaller and faster as the night went on. And Zara was at the embroidery, extending the diagonal at a new angle she was working out in real time, her needle moving with the certainty of someone who had made this decision 10 times before the thread went through. Cecily sat in the corner in a borrowed dressing gown, watching. She had planned to be home by midnight. She had stopped planning that somewhere around 1. "How long have you been doing this?" she asked. "Dressmaking? Since I was 12. In Harlem. I came to Harlem 7 years ago." "From where?" "South," Zara said. "Then further south than that. Then here." "That's not an answer." "No," Zara agreed. "It's not." Grace spoke without looking up from her seam. "She doesn't talk about before she got here. None of us do. That's why we came." Cecily looked at the 4 women working in the lamplight, at the economy of their movements, at the way they communicated without speaking, Grace adjusting her angle slightly when Zara moved around the dress form, Ruby anticipating which panel Zara would reach for next, Della writing down alterations the moment they were made as if she had already known what they would be. "My grandmother used to say, the ones who make the beautiful things are always the ones who don't get to keep them," Cecily said. Zara's needle did not pause this time. "Your grandmother was right. Didn't it make her angry? I think it made her make more beautiful things. It's the only answer that works." She held the embroidery up to the lamp, checked the extension, was satisfied, continued. "Make more. Make better. Make something so undeniable that even the silence around your name can't undo it." At 3 in the morning, with the shoulder seams done and the hem done and the waist done and only the embroidery extension remaining, Zara heard a sound. Small. Precise. Terrible. Grace heard it first. Then Ruby. The room went still in the way rooms go still when something important has just broken. Zara was looking at the point where the original embroidery met the extension. A hairline tear in the silk beneath the gold thread. Not large. The size of a thumbnail. Catastrophic. She did not touch it. She held her hands near it and looked at it the way a doctor looks at a wound before deciding whether it is survivable. Her face gave nothing away. This was the armor at its maximum. And underneath it, visible only to Della who had known her face for 4 years, something very close to fear. "How bad?" Della said. "The silk is thin here from where I reworked the seam. The embroidery thread pulled it. If I continue extending the pattern, the tear will widen." "Can you repair it?" "I can repair the tear. But the extension, the 2 additional inches that makes the bodice line work on Cecily's frame, I cannot do that without putting more tension on this point." Zara closed her eyes. In the silence of the atelier at 3 in the morning, the 4 women watched her face. Cecily watched it too from her corner, not breathing. This was the ghost moment, the room that was also her father, the material that would not go where she was trying to take it. His voice, which she still heard when things broke, not as memory exactly, but as instinct. "The crack does not mean the stone is broken. It means the stone is telling you something. Listen." She listened. Her eyes opened. "The silk failed because I was extending the pattern in the wrong direction," she said. She was already moving, reaching for a fresh scrap of paper, sketching fast. "The diagonal wants to go this way, not this way. I've been fighting the material instead of reading it. If I change the angle of the extension by 15 degrees, here and here, I reduce the tension on the weak point. And the new diagonal is more dynamic than what I planned. It makes the bodice line longer. Better for Cecily's frame than the original design. She looked up from the sketch. For women looked back at her. The tear made it better, Ruby said slowly. The tear showed me where I was wrong. That's not the same thing. Zara was already threading a fresh needle. Della, gold thread. Ruby, hold this section taut. Grace, I need you on the backing here. By 4 in the morning, the new embroidery extension was half done, and it was already extraordinary. The 15-degree shift in the diagonal had created a sweeping movement in the gold thread that pulled the eye from shoulder to hip in a way that made the gown seem to be in motion even standing still. Grace kept glancing at it. She was not a woman who glanced. She had been glancing for 20 minutes. Can I ask you something? Cecily said. You can try, Zara said. Your father, the stonecutter, is he still alive? Zara's needle kept moving. Her face did not change. No, I'm sorry. He built things for 30 years. Beautiful things. Precise things. Things that are still standing somewhere. His name is on none of them. The needle moved. The gold thread caught the lamp. He died knowing that. He never stopped building. I asked him once how he made peace with it. He said, the stone doesn't need your name to hold the weight. It holds the weight because of how you laid it. That's enough. Do you believe that? Pause. That was not quite a pause. I'm still deciding. Cecily looked at the embroidery, at the gold thread moving under Zara's hands, at the new diagonal that was better than the original because a tear had shown the right direction. I think he was right, she said, because I'm sitting in this room at 4 in the morning watching you rebuild something that broke and make it better than it was. And I already know that tomorrow when I walk out on that stage nobody is going to know your name, but they are going to feel your hands in that fabric. Every single person in that room is going to feel something they can't explain. That's not nothing. That might be everything. Zara's needle paused. The same pause as when Della had named the injustice at midnight. The pause that said something has landed. But this pause was different. This one was receiving something rather than absorbing something. Hold this section for me, she said. She handed Cecily the embroidery frame. Cecily took it without being told how. She held it the right way instinctively. The grip of someone who had been told by her grandmother without knowing it how material wants to be held. Don't let the tension drop, Zara said. I've got it. I know. Dawn came through the atelier windows at 5:45. The first birds. The city quieting before it began again. The gown was done. Cecily stood in it properly for the first time. The hem at the right length, the shoulders exact. The embroidery sweeping in its new 15-degree diagonal from collar to hip like something architectural, something meant to hold weight for longer than one morning at the Apollo. The 4 women stood back and looked at what they had made between midnight and dawn. Nobody spoke for a long time. Ruby's eyes were wet. Grace, who had seen everything and was not moved by anything, was moved. Della looked at Zara. Zara looked at the gown. Zara, Grace said. I know. No, Zara. This is the best thing you have ever made. I know, Zara said, with a different quality to the words the second time. The knowledge she would never say to anyone outside this room. The knock at the door was sharp and official. Grace opened it. Isabella Fontaine stood in the doorway in a cream midtown suit that fit her impeccably and made everything in the atelier look smaller. She was light-skinned and exquisitely composed and carrying herself with the particular ease of someone who had never needed to justify taking up space. She had come to collect an opera cape she had commissioned last month. She had sent a note. She had expected to be in and out in 5 minutes. She saw the gown. She stopped walking. She could not stop seeing it. What is that? She crossed the room. She reached toward the embroidery. Cecily stepped back slightly. Not much. Enough. Isabella's hand stopped in the air. She looked at the gold geometric diamonds. Her expression went through several things quickly. Recognition was one of them. Where was this made? Here, Della said. Here. Isabella looked around the atelier. At the four women who had been awake all night. At the oil lamps burning down to their last hour. At the work table covered in silk scraps and thread ends and coffee cups. She looked at Cecily. At the gown. She made the calculation she had been making her whole life about what was valuable and whose name should be attached to beautiful things. She made it quickly and professionally. I would like to commission the same gown. For myself. Whatever you charged her, I will pay 3 times. It's a one-of-a-kind piece, Della said. Everything can be reproduced. Zara spoke from the back of the room. She had not moved since Isabella entered. Not this. Isabella turned. She saw Zara for the first time. She understood in that moment who had made what she was looking at. Something shifted in her face that she was not quite careful enough to hide. I see. Della, Zara said. Can you get Miss Fontaine's opera cape? Isabella waited. She looked at the gown one final time before she left. Then she looked at Zara, one long, direct look that contained more than it was willing to express. Then she took the cape and she went. Nobody spoke. Then Cecily said the thing they were all thinking. She's going to have someone copy it. Probably, Zara said. And whoever copies it won't do it as well. They never do. She picked up her coat. 3 hours. Go home. Change. Stage door at 9:30. The Apollo Theater on 125th Street was unremarkable from the outside, which was either brick or a marquee, a box office window. But the crowd gathering outside it on this particular spring morning was not unremarkable. Harlem's best had come out. Its writers and musicians and their particular audiences, people who understood that what happened inside this building on a morning like this one mattered in ways that would not be fully understood for decades. Zara and Della filed in with the crowd. They were dressed well. Zara was always dressed well, even on no sleep, but not in the way the crowd was dressed. They were not here to be seen. They found seats near the back, where they could see the stage and the audience and the 3 photographers positioned at the front. Zara counted the photographers the moment she sat down. 3, Della said. I see them. Whatever they photograph today gets in tomorrow's paper. I know, Della. I just want you to be. I know what I'm prepared for, Zara said. I've known since last night. Let me watch. The lights went down. The show began. Jazz first, then speakers, then the fashion presentation. 7 designers. 7 looks. Zara watched each one with the professional eye she could not turn off. This seam is uneven, this hem a fraction too long, this silhouette would be better with a different shoulder. She could not watch fashion without reading it. She had been built this way. 3 more looks before Cecily, Della said quietly. I know. Are you nervous? Zara looked at the stage, at the photographers, at the audience leaning forward slightly, the way audiences lean when they are about to see something worth leaning for. Yes, she said. Simple. Honest. The armor briefly and completely down. Me too, said Della. The 6th look was a pale yellow dress that was very good but not exceptional. The crowd responded politely. The photographers held their positions. Then the 7th look was announced and Cecily walked out and the room changed. She wore the gown the way Zara had known she would, like it had been made for her, which it had twice by 2 different versions of the same design across one impossible night. The burgundy silk moved with her. The structured shoulders gave her an authority she was already carrying everywhere she went before last night. And the embroidery, under the stage lights, the gold geometric diamonds at their new 15-degree angle, the pattern that came from before and before and before, caught the light and held it in a way that made the gown seem alive. The pattern seemed to move even when Cecily was standing still. Every person in the Apollo could see it. Nobody in the room knew its name. The photographers moved. All 3 of them, shifting toward the stage the way animals shift toward something they recognize as significant without knowing why. Flash powder. Once. twice, 3 times, 4, 5. They were taking more photographs of this one look than all 6 previous combined. Zara watched from the back of the room. She did not move. She watched Cecily walk and the photographers flash and the crowd respond, and she felt something she could not name precisely. Not pride, not satisfaction, something older than both. The feeling of a thing built correctly finding the weight it was meant to hold. 3 rows forward and to the left she could see Isabella, in a cream wool suit and at her collar, a brooch with a copy of the embroidery pattern, obviously Midtown work, obviously someone who had been given a description and replicated the surface without understanding the structure underneath. It was not the same. Anyone who had spent 10 minutes with the real thing would know it was not the same. But in a photograph from a distance, the difference would not be visible. Isabella was watching Cecily with the face of a woman watching a calculation prove itself wrong. She had the brooch copied, Della said. I know. Are you angry? Zara watched Cecily at the end of the platform turning, the gold embroidery still catching the lights. Ask me tomorrow, she said. In the lobby after the show, Cecily was surrounded. Women touching the embroidery, asking questions, pressing close with the particular energy of people who have just seen something they cannot yet articulate, but know they want to be near. One of the photographers had his notebook out. Cecily was answering a question. Her mouth formed the beginning of a name. Zara could see it from across the room, the shape of the Z, the open A, and then someone interrupted from the other side. Another question. The crowd surged slightly. The photographer closed his notebook. The moment passed. The name was not in the notebook. The name would not be in tomorrow's paper. She tried to say your name, Della said. I know. It wasn't her fault. No, it never is. Cecily saw them from across the lobby. She raised one hand, not a wave, an acknowledgement. The gesture of someone who knows what was made for them and what it cost and what it means that the cost will not be visible in the morning paper. Zara raised her hand in return. The same gesture. Then the crowd closed between them and they lost each other in the room. They walked home through Harlem in the mid-morning sun. The show crowd had broken in all directions. The street sellers were out. A man on the corner played saxophone for no one in particular. A slow, wandering melody that seemed to be working something out as it went. Zara slowed when she heard it. She listened for a moment. The melody had the quality of something old reaching through something new, the particular sound of before making itself heard inside the present. She reached into her coat pocket. She always had a pencil and a scrap of paper. She began sketching as she walked. A new embroidery pattern. A new diagonal. The next idea already growing in the space where the last one had just finished. Was it worth it? Della asked. She had been building to the question for 3 blocks. All of it. The night. The tear. Isabella and her 9 words and her copied brooch. Was it worth it? Zara walked another half block. She was looking at the street, at the saxophonist, at the women in their hats, at a child sitting on a stoop drawing something in chalk that was either a house or a person or both. Every single hour of it. Even the part where nobody said your name? My name is in the work, Zara said. It always was. That's where it always will be. She looked at the sketch she was making. The new pattern. Already better than the last one. My father said the stone doesn't need your name to hold the weight. I used to think that was what people tell themselves when they have no other choice. I'm starting to think he was right. Starting to think? Still deciding, but closer. A small smile. Both things can be true, Della. The work can be enough and the erasure can still be wrong. I used to think I had to choose between those 2 ideas. I don't think I do. They walked. The saxophonist played. The pencil moved. Harlem went on around them, indifferent and magnificent, doing what it had always done, producing extraordinary things from ordinary hours, most of them unnamed, all of them real. The Harlem Renaissance officially ran from the early 1920s through the mid-1930s. During that time, Harlem produced some of the most important art, music, literature, and fashion in American history. The names we remember are real. The women who made the clothes those names wore to their most important nights are largely undocumented. The photographs kept. The captions did not.
So Zara, Della, Ruby, Grace, Isabella, and Cecily are all fictional characters, but the story portrays how black fashion designers were disregarded, were treated during this period. So I chose Zara's story because Harlem was full of women like her, talented, quietly shaping everything around them, but raised to stay invincible. The Renaissance was loud and celebrated on the outside, but behind it were ants that sewed, designed, and created without even being credited. Zara isn't so different from her. She almost got a moment, and I think that's the most honest version of Harlem's story. Not just the ones who broke through, but the ones who were right there on the edge. If you want more stories like this, please like the video and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.